Hi, crafty friends. You guys, we have 9 projects today. So they're super easy projects, 5 minutes and under. Okay, maybe one of them is a little bit more. And one I messed up on, but I went ahead and showed you how to fix it. Because I know sometimes when we're crafting, we get into it and we're like, this didn't turn out the way I wanted, but there's always a way to fix it. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then friends, thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are amazing. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so then you'll know when we load new videos on. Thanks for watching. All right, are you guys ready for the first easy craft? So we're gonna take one of the little bamboo cutting boards from the Dollar Tree, and then I also picked up one of the little scrap pieces of wood that they had there that you can buy. And I just cut it to the width of the board, and then we're just gonna trim this off with the miter box saw here. You saw me mark it off there. And then the only thing that I was like, how are we gonna fix this? So you can see that the cutting board has those rounded edges, and obviously this little piece of wood is squared off. So what I decided to do was use a little bit of elbow grease and we are going to sand that so that it mimics each other. So I'm going to use a little bit of E6000 and some hot glue as well, just for that like instant hold, and then that E6000 will set up. But I thought these are so cute to have in your kitchen for like little recipe holders, or in my case, all of the recipes that I have saved on my phone. I always have my phone in the kitchen and it's always laying down on the counter. So I thought, man, these cutting boards are the perfect size for this. So I got those kind of rounded off, and then we're gonna add a coat of paint to this. I was also thinking about what we want to do down there on that block. I thought, let's add something a little bit decorative there. At first I was like, oh, it would be cool to do, maybe something with like the air dry clay. And then I was like, oh no, wait a minute. I have something that is going to work. So this is the back off of a broken frame that I had from the Dollar Tree. I pulled it off there. Remember friends, I keep everything because I'm like, we can use this at some point. So we're just going to glue that onto the back. I did have to go, I don't even know why I didn't paint the back of this. So once I got this on, then I was like, oh, we need to clean this up and paint this whole thing. So I actually painted the stand part of it too, so that it would all just kind of go together. But I'm just going to glue this in place, and that way it can stand up on its own there on the counter. So once everything's done and dry, we're going to use our ink pad to do a little bit of distressing with. If y'all have never used a distressing pad there, an ink pad to distress with, oh my gosh, try it. It's so simple. So I would suggest, you can see I kind of start a little bit light, but then I get a little bit more heavy-handed. And then look at the little handle I added at the bottom. I just love it. All right, so project number 2. Anytime you are at Dollar Tree and you see these cute little canvas tote bags, grab them. I love these so much. Listen, they're adorable for a tote, but I love the Busy Bee, and I thought, let's turn this into a pillow. So it was a little bit bigger than I wanted it to be, so I was like, oh, well, we have to trim the top off anyways. But you can see, I didn't measure, by the way. I was just eyeballing. But I just trimmed that part off and then trimmed the bottom off again. I didn't want it to be super big just because of how it's going to sit on my couch with the other pillows. Listen, are you like me? Do you have 1,100 pillows on your couch? I do. I do. And then I feel bad because then when people come over, they're like, oh, can I sit down? Yeah. And I always say, oh, just move the pillows over. I know, it's so terrible. Same with my bed. Way too many pillows. But anyways, all right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to hot glue all along the bottom of this. Again, we turned it inside out. Then when we turn it right side out, sorry, I had to think there, it'll look good. But we're going to add something to this that takes it to a completely different level, friends. Like, I don't know what happened to my brain one day when I was walking around Walmart and I saw this and I was like, wait a minute, why have I never crafted with it? And what it is it's the cotton clothesline. Y'all know what I'm talking about? That's like on those spools. Well, if you just put that right along your seam, and I just did it with hot glue, it makes, it is a game changer. It makes it look like it's a finished pillow. So if you've never tried this, definitely try this one. Again, just a little bit of hot glue, and then I just went right along that seam. Oh my gosh, I love this trick. How I never thought of that before. Anyways, all right, so again, I will show all these projects longer at the end, but I was just kind of giving like a little sneak peek. So now to the pampas grass. Friends, this is one of the funnest projects I have done This one might have taken a little bit longer. Oh, maybe I had two that took a little bit longer. But anyways, grab some burlap. This is kind of a thicker burlap that I had. So on one of the ends that has that like sewn edge, tape it down, and then I'm gonna cut that bottom piece off. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna pull all of these pieces off all the way up to where you tape it down. Because again, that's like that sewn edge, so it can't come apart. So once you pull this apart, again, a little bit more than 5 minutes, I'm so sorry. But then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take some of the little skewers from the Dollar Tree, and we're just gonna start hot gluing these onto the skewer. We're gonna go into sections so that it looks kind of like, it's all not bunched in one. It's kind of spaced out a little bit more. So I just did a little bit of hot glue and I would start twisting it on there. And then I just went down the little skewer there. You could use even those smaller dowel rods that they have if you wanted to do that. But I just kept going at this. Okay, this one is longer than 5 minutes. I know some of you are like, Bonnie, you said 5 minutes. And I'm like, I know, but trust me, friends, this one turns out so fun. Look at me. I put one of those little finger protectors that you could get at the Dollar Tree for the heat gun. I put it on a dowel rod and look at me still not using it. I won't use it on there, or I won't use it on my finger. Oh, well. So all those edges that we cut off, I just wrapped around just to cover the bottom. And then I just kind of like shook it out. Look how cute this is. And then once I kind of shook it out, then I just like gave it a little bit of a haircut. Just kind of like a little trimmy trim so that it looks like, it's all kind of like going to the bottom. But anyways, we could do this with a natural color as well, like the creams. So many different ideas with these, friends. I cannot wait to do more of these, but here's how it turned out. I just love it so very much. I think they're so fun. All right, so up next, we are gonna do a project with the wood rulers. Friends, if you have not bought packs of these, I love 2 come in a pack at the Dollar Tree. Those little measure parts just pull right off. They're just little stickers. And we're just gonna make a little like shutter. And I thought, we could decorate with this. We could hang like small little wreaths on it or whatever we want to do. So you saw I put a couple of those pieces together of the measure part just so that I could get my spacing. And then I'm just going to kind of tape everything down how, much I want them to be apart. And then I'm going to take another piece or another ruler, I should say, and we're going to trim that down for the short parts on either side. Now, don't worry about the hole that's in there. We're going to end up trimming that one off on the 2 shorter side pieces, and then we'll cover up the holes on the longer pieces. So no worries about that. But these are always so fun to craft with. So definitely grab some of these as well. I think this is more like my sneak peek of, or not sneak peek, but my favorite things at Dollar Tree to craft with. Do you guys have those things? Yeah. I mean, they just have the best stuff for crafting. I just love it. And I love that you can take this stuff and turn it into something completely different and you don't even know that that's what it is anymore. Because I'm using the back part of the rulers. So, on the other side of the ruler, on the front side, it has a little bit of a ridge in it, but we're going to paint this up. I actually just took some paint. I put some water in there a while back in the little jar because I didn't have a whole lot left. And when I started to put it on there, I was like, oh, kind of a little heavy-handed, more than I thought it was going to be. I thought there was more water in there. So if you ever do that and you're like, man, that's just too dark, just take a baby wipe, or heck, even if you have a disinfectant wipe, and just wipe that off of there. It just will lift off some of that paint. So once it's dry, I'm going to use a little bit of a sanding block and just kind of sand my edges just to distress it a little bit. And again, we could hang anything on this, but I thought, how fun would this be just to have sitting around? And I just think it's adorable. All right, so up next, a candle project. Friends, the tapered candles at Dollar Tree are so good. Grab a pack of them, get you a decorative napkin, take all the plies off, and then what we're going to do is we are going to create our very own decorative pillars, candle pillars, pillared candles, tapered candles. Wait, is it pillared or tapered? Maybe it's both. I don't know. I'm just making it up. So, no, I'm not making it up. Well, y'all know. Okay, so we're going to trim it down. I'm just kind of guesstimating here because I only want to wrap once around my napkin, around the candle. I don't really want to overlap. So you can see I cut it a little bit bigger, but we're going to use a heat gun on this. So friends, let me just tell you, you have to be careful with this because y'all know when that heat gun gets to going, gets to going and it gets warm. So be mindful of that. Also, I didn't lay anything down. I'm just right there on my wood table. So when that candle starts to melt, wax goes everywhere. Be mindful of that as well. So, when I mess up, I got to tell you all the things. So, but what happens is the wax starts to cover the napkin. And I know I'm going to get a lot of questions. People are going to send me a message and be like, Bonnie, what happens when you burn the candle? Isn't it going to burn the napkin? Well, when that wax goes over the top of that napkin, it doesn't burn the napkin at all because it's coated now with that wax. So some people might ask too, will this work with a hairdryer? It will not. A hairdryer does not get hot enough. You've got to go to the heat gun. So this is a really cool way. Like if you were having a party and you were using these napkins, like to do something like this just to elevate your table decor, you'd be like, oh, look, I have candles that match. Yeah, I know, right? How fun is that? So anyway, so I just kind of went until it like almost met each, right up to where it was. Just kissed the edge of it. And then that's where it'll trim it at. And then that little edge that's left there, I'll just kind of push that down. And then I just kind of cut down around where the wick part is, and then just melted it all around there. So again, just be super careful because again, we all know the heat gun gets crazy pants hot and I don't want you guys to burn your hands, but it's such a cool thing to do. I just love it. You can even do this with bigger candles, but I love the tapered candles as well. I think it's so much fun. So friends, here's how this one turned out. I just think it's so adorable. So cute. All right, up next, we are going to use the Faux Tiles. Well, they're plastic from the Dollar Tree. But we're going to use two different ones, the white and black or the white and blue one there. We're just going to use that one as it is. So you can see where I'm cutting apart there. That back part with the plastic over it is the sticky part. And so I always just take this part off. I don't even worry about this part because once you start cutting into it, that comes off anyways. So what we're going to do is we're just going to trace it out around these little stars, the little cutouts from the Dollar Tree, and then we will just glue those back on to it. Now, there's also those gray tiles, similar pattern, but with that, I was like, oh, I don't want the gray. So we're gonna actually paint that red and have it more of like a patriotic with the blue and the white one, and then we'll do the patriotic one. So something to be mindful of though, when you are gluing these together, if you put too much glue, it will melt the front of it a little bit. So just be mindful of that. And then you can trim off anything with your little X-Acto. So here's where I'm gonna paint it red. And this red I do not like. I know, but it's the only red I have. So I'm like, all right, so what are we going to do now, Bonnie? Because it's too bright and you don't like it. So I was like, okay, well, let's just do a little bit of distressing spray on the blue and white one, and then we will do the same on the red one. And the great thing about distressing spray is it just kind of like brings it down. It takes that all away. And friends, I love how that one turned out. I sanded it as well. So up next, we have a fun little decorative flag idea here. So this is 3 of these little signs that, as you can see, I got during the fall time. And I was like, I never did anything with them. And so I was like, let's just glue them all together and then paint it up here. Because I was like, the shape of this lends in my brain to what a flag would look like. So I just did that coat and let it completely dry. And then this little galvanized star I had from another project, I dug that out of. Again, y'all, I keep everything. And I know a lot of you ask me, hey, do you keep the back of the plies when you take them off napkins? Oh, yes, I do. I keep everything. But anyway, so I'm going to make the little corner up there where the stars is at, and we're going to paint that. And then we will use some more. This is just masking tape from Dollar Tree. You could use painter's tape if you have it, whatever you have. You could even use washi tape. I've used that in a pinch too. But once we get the star part done and that dries up, then I'll do the stripes as well. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I got something at Dollar Tree. First of all, always when you're at Dollar Tree, go to like the office supply, school supply section. There's always fun little finds in there that you can craft with. And there was, because I found these really cool push pins. So I thought, oh, let's put that along the stripes as well. And again, the red that I'm not in love with, I know. So we'll have to do a little bit of antiquing wax over the top of this. And then it kind of toned down the white and the red and the blue as well. But one thing I didn't think about, oh, I did a little distressing spray, was getting these push pins in. Like, I was like, look, I had to get a little hammer out and everything, but it worked out, and I think it's really stinking cool. All right, so here's another thing to look at when you're in Dollar Tree. Always look at their banners, because I like to take them apart and create words out of the letters. It's a great way just to trace them on, and then you can make your own signs. So this is the project that I messed up on. So let me tell you about it. I have this sign, it's the raw wood sign, and you can see I used a little bit of glue to put the letters down. I thought that would be the easiest way to hold them down. Then I know I'm cutting and it doesn't fit in there, but we made it work, and I was trying to be, my hands look like they're close to the blade. I promise you they're not. It's just the direction, I think, of the camera. But we got that off there, and then I was like, okay, let's paint this, because I had an idea in my brain. Now, this might have worked out if I wouldn't have used a paint color that's almost the same as the background. There's where I messed up. If I would have used a darker color first and then done distressing over the top with a lighter color, I wouldn't have messed up, but I did find a way to kind of fix this. So here's where I've got the sponge that I've used forever. You can see all the paint on it. And then all you do is once that paint on your surface is completely dry, you will just wipe this back and forth as many times as you want. And it gives you, it's just a super easy way to distress, which y'all know, again, super easy crafts. Yes, please, and thank you. So we're just going to just pull that straight across the board as many times as you want. And again, this is where I messed up, because once I pulled the letters up, you couldn't even tell. I was like, oh, Bonnie, why didn't you paint it? So anyways, I was like, well, what can we do now, Bonnie? Because you didn't do it the way you were supposed to. But that's okay, it happened. So I pulled them all off of there. It kind of left some parts on there from the letters just kind of pulling apart, but I just, got it off with my finger. And then I was like, okay, let's grab some darker paint. And I just painted right in where those letters were. So, we made it work, but I'm just suggesting if you try this, start with your darker color and then distress with your lighter. I don't know what I was thinking. Some days those days happen. So once we get that done, we're going to do a little bit of distressing spray, because y'all know I love to distress everything. And then here is how it turned out. So the last project I have for you guys is a decorative bowl. So I'm using a plastic bowl from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to wrap it in saran wrap. I ended up putting a little tape in the middle just to hold the saran wrap on there. And then we're using that cotton clothesline that I got at Walmart. And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of start a little base at the bottom right here in my hands. I'm just like twisting, because this is just going to go around and around and around. And then I am going to glue that to the bowl. So I know with the hot glue, that saran wrap is going to melt. But don't worry, I found a way to loosen it all so that I can just pull the bowl right out. Excuse me. So once I kind of get it big enough where I think, okay, we can get this down now, I'm just going to keep going all the way until I get to the edge of the bowl. So much fun. This was one of those crafts where you're just like, kind of like hot glue, twist, hot glue, twist. You just keep going. And before I knew it, I was like, oh, I'm done. But again, I know you're thinking, oh, Bonnie, that hot glue is going to melt that right to that bowl and then it's going to be stuck. No worries. First, what I did was I kind of just like the bowl is really easy to bend. So definitely make sure if you try this that you have a bowl that's easy to bend. If you have one that's super rigid, I don't know. It might be a little bit more difficult to get it out. But what I did was once I got it, again, all the way to the top, I just kind of bent that bowl a little bit. And then you can just start to work it away from the plastic bowl there. And then there were a few pieces of the saran wrap that kind of adhered to the clothesline when I pulled it off. So all I did to get that off of there is I just took my heat gun and I just heated it up a little bit, and then it just melted in between. So that was easy peasy. So you can see here too, I'm just using my box cutter and I'm just kind of breaking that seal right there on the edge. And then I just kind of, smoosh the bowl around a little bit. I think smoosh and smooshy smoosh, I think those are technical words when we're crafting. Do you agree? I think they are. Yeah. So once I get it pulled out of there, then I'm just going to, you see that piece that's still not stuck down there? I wanted to do that after I got the bowl out. So we're just going to pull it out there. And then, like I said, if you have any of that plastic in the middle, just grab your heat gun and it'll just kind of melt it down. And then you can just use your glue gun. And then, friends, you have a super cute little bowl. I think this one is so much fun. So here's how this one turned out. And then all of them are coming up here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the page for more crafts. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Can't wait till next time.